My name is Tamara Lewit and I'm an Honorary Fellow at the University of Melbourne in the Department of Classics and Archaeology. My research area is mainly late antiquity, but I have a special interest in the production of wine in the Roman world. So this exhibition is about wine in the Greek and Roman worlds, and the reason I wanted to curate an exhibition on ancient wine was that wine was essential in ancient Mediterranean society. Everyone drank wine, men, women and children, and most people in society were involved in some way with the production or trade or distribution of wine. Wine was essential to the diet because water wasn't safe to drink, so people drank about 4 parts water to 1 part wine, even children. And wine was also essential to all sorts of other parts of society, not only the diet. So wine was used in medicine, for example. Wine was also essential to religious rituals. People made offerings of wine to the gods every day in their households, and people also made offerings of wine to the dead during funerals or on special anniversaries like birthdays or festivals for the dead. The first archaeological evidence for winemaking is from around 7,000 years ago in the ancient Caucasus and the Near East. And wine making and drinking then spread from there around the Mediterranean world and was adopted by the Romans, who spread it all through their empire around 2,000 years ago. And it's from there that we in Australia get our legacy of wine drinking, because with the Roman introduction of wine throughout Europe, European immigrants brought that tradition to Australia. Ancient wine would have been very varied in flavour because the winemaking process was much more uncontrolled and unscientific. So good wines, which were drunk by the rich, would have been very sweet because the sugars in sweet wine allowed it to be preserved better. But ordinary people or poorer people would have drunk very sour wine that was almost like vinegar. According to Greek and Roman myths, the inventor of wine was the wine god, Dionysus, and he was also sometimes called Bacchus by the Romans. And he's often shown with ivy leaf crown and with maenads, who were female dancers, and also with half-animal creatures called satyrs. There were festivals to the wine god, which were held on occasions like the wine harvest or wine fermentation. And our Western tradition of theatre began with theatrical performances in the festival of the god Dionysus. This object is a Roman transport amphora. So this was used to transport wine by ship, and it would have had a long pointed end, which has now been broken off, to hold it with. An amphora like this would have weighed about 100 kilograms when it was full of wine, and sometimes thousands of them are found in shipwrecks. This one has been under the water for about 2,000 years until it was found, so that's why it's in the condition that you see. So when you look inside this amphora, you can see the incrustations of marine creatures who have been living inside it in this 2,000 year span that it was under the water. So this is a Greek wine jug with a scene on it of a young man and some young boys playing music. So it's a mystery what this scene is. There's no caption to tell us, but it looks like it might be a depiction of one of the wine festivals, the festival of wine fermentation, because there's a jug on the table, and one of the things that happened during this festival was a wine drinking competition to see who could drink down a jug of wine the fastest. People also had musical contests, so that might be why we see this scene of young men and boys playing music. They're also wearing garlands on their head, which was something that you did at a festival. The religion of Christianity began in the ancient Mediterranean world during the period of the Roman Empire, so wine became important within the Christian religion in the same way that it was important in this Mediterranean world. So in the Gospels, Jesus is described as drinking wine or performing miracles with wine, and there's a very famous story of one of the soldiers at the crucifixion offering Jesus very sour wine, which was called by the same word as vinegar, which was part of the soldiers' rations. So I'm particularly fascinated by ancient history because there's so much mystery around it. With much modern history, we know exactly what happened. With much ancient history, we don't know what happened, and we have to really use our data and the objects that we have to try to piece things together. The other reason I find it fascinating is that we can see through these objects that ancient people were just like us. They drank, they partied, they looked after their dead, they had religious beliefs, and of course they looked like us, just wearing slightly different clothes.